So what I'm going to talk about today is a little bit about Ecomark Solar and what we do and how we've been using Zoho. We use a variety of different products. And then I'm going to go into some of the ways that we use it, some of the specific reports that we use to keep our different teams on track. And then finally, I'll go into some of the tips and tricks that I've learned over the last few years that make it easier for me to use Zoho Reports. So here's a little bit about our company. Ecomark was founded in 2010 with just the two owners. Originally, we were just doing some marketing and business services for other companies, including solar companies. Shortly after that, we moved into doing the sales ourselves, and now more recently, we're also doing the construction and the installation of the solar systems. Since in the last 5 years, we've grown to be one of the largest solar installers in the state of Colorado. We've been using Zoho CRM pretty much since the foundation of the company. And since then, we've added a bunch of the other Zoho services as well, including CRM, reports, creator, campaigns, sales IQ, and support. And here's our website, ecomarksolar.com. And here's a fairly recent picture of some of the management and the sales team. And our mascot, Punky there, little puppy there. Here's a map. So we've been pretty busy in Denver. This is a map of Denver, and each one of these suns represents a solar installation that we've done. So we've kept pretty busy. Next section I'm going to go into is just how we use Zoho Reports and some of the specific reports that we use to keep our teams on track. What we've done since we started using it, and as our team has grown and as we added more departments and we need more and more reports, is we've separated everything into individual department dashboards. So each one of these teams, marketing, sales, and customer service, and now also like the operations team that does the installations and tracks all these jobs, each department gets their own dashboard with their own reports, and they can submit a request for a new report or modifications to reports. This helps us organize everything and just give the information that's needed to the people who need it. The department heads use these dashboards to monitor individual employee performance and team performance and their progress towards their monthly goals. And we also track our progress, day by day, week by week, month by month, to make sure that we're always trending in a positive direction. This is just an example report that our customer service team uses for setting appointments with homeowners to show them how solar could benefit them. So each one of these bars represents one of the people on that team, and it's just how many appointments they're able to set per week, so we can check how they're doing. This is about half of last week, so we didn't completely fall off. Next, I'm going to go into more detail on the sales dashboard. This is something that probably will be applicable to almost any company out there. We have a pretty wide variety of reports that our sales manager uses. He just gets this every single day, and he can look at these metrics and just make sure everything's on track, both for the whole team and for individual employees. This first one up top here, this is for him to just review the appointments that were conducted the previous day and find out what the stage is on each one of those. So as you can see, we've got our sales rep over there on the left under the owner, the customer name, and then we have the stage. So you can see that first one, he can see it needs to be rescheduled. We have one where the appointment's confirmed, and then a few proposals that have been shown to the homeowners. Next one we'll look at is yesterday's calls by hour. This is just to see when the sales reps aren't out at a customer's house meeting with them. We want to make sure that they're still following up on their pipeline. So this just blocks it out with a pretty simple formula. Blocks out all these calls by the time of day that they were conducted. And for each one of the sales reps, this is just an example. Shows what kind of work was being done during that time block. And then finally, this is an example of a report we use to make sure that our employees and our sales reps are adhering to our policies on how we use CRM. And so this is, for example, if it was created, several days ago, but they haven't updated the stage on the opportunity or on the potential, this alerts Josh to tell them to be sure to update their CRM so that we can have accurate information when we're running our reports. Here's a few more. So, yesterday's close was 1. This just gives them a list of the deals that we actually sold the previous days. This is one that I like. It's kilowatts is how we measure the size of the solar systems that we sell, the solar power systems. So this shows how much we've sold by this day in the month. So what's the day, like the 25th? This shows what was sold in a certain subsection of our market by this day for the previous 3 months. And then it's colored, I don't remember, this is colored by either the sales rep or maybe where the lead came from. And if you guys are curious on how this report is set up, the formula that I'm using to filter this is just comparing the close one date to the current date in the month. I'll walk through this real quick. It says, in our close one date field, if the day, which is going to be like the 25th, is less than the current dates, the date of the current day, then sold by this day and month, that's true, and false if not. And then we just show those deals which do meet this criteria, which were sold by this day in the month for previous months, and we can see, are we on track, are we keeping up with how we did last month or not? Here's a couple more reports that our sales manager uses. A preview of stuff that's scheduled for the following day. And then this is one that both the sales manager and the sales reps use. And this is all the contracts that we have out that we're waiting to get back. So what this shows is the sales rep here, whoever owns the record, the customer name, and then the date of the last activity. So if we have a contract out, if we have a contract in a customer's hands, we want to make sure that we're following up on those really frequently. Our marketing team does a pretty good job, so these guys get a lot of new leads coming in all the time. But this is a good reminder to make sure that the deals that we have close to closing, that they're paying special attention to those and making sure to follow up on those frequently until we can get those contracts signed and back in our hands. Some more reports and dashboards that we use are accountability and what we call red light reports. Red light meaning that on our sold jobs that progress has stopped. So even after we sell a system, there's a lot of work that goes into getting the system permitted and getting it installed and inspected. So we have have a series of reports that show if something's been sitting in one stage for too long, it'll show up on one of these reports, and then we'll know to maybe follow up with the permitting office and see what the status of the permit is, or follow up with the installer and make sure that they're on track to get the job installed when it's supposed to be. What this does is, for example, that contracts out report, that helps our sales reps make the most of their leads. So some examples of things that are on this dashboard are any opportunities or potentials that weren't contacted within 24 hours. So we want to make sure when we have an interested customer and we give that lead to a sales rep, that they follow up with that customer within 24 hours and make sure they're getting on it while it's still hot. And it also ensures adherence to our system and data integrity. If you guys have been using reports, you may have encountered a situation where you run a report and you realize that maybe one of your employees hasn't been very good about updating all of their records, and then the information that's coming out on the report might not be the most current information. So we have some reports we've built that will show, like the example I gave a few minutes ago, something that's been sitting in the news stage for too long and we think it needs to get updated, or where the appointment is passed but the stage hasn't been updated. If something shows up on these reports, we know to tell the sales rep, be sure to update everything so that we have the most current information when we're going into our meetings. And then again, to make sure that our construction jobs aren't getting held up. Some other uses that we have for Zoho Reports, in addition to our CRM data, which we sync over into reports, we also use some third-party apps. One of them is our phone center software, and another one is a time clock system that we use. Basically, our employees will call into a phone number, enter their ID, enter the type of shift that they're starting, and then they'll do the same thing when they check out of their shift. So this is a separate service, but they also have all the data tables that we can download and import into Zoho Reports. Excuse me. What this does is allows us to build all of our reports in the same place and add these reports to the dashboards along with our reports based on our CRM data. Here's an example of that. We have our employees over here, our the different shift types, and then it'll total up all the hours and put it in the same type of report format that all of our managers are used to using. Last section, I'm going to go into some of the different tricks, tips, and techniques that I've learned over the last 3 years that make Zoho Reports easier to use and easier to manage when you have a lot of reports. The first one is using formulas when you're filtering multiple reports. So this came about, we had a lot of reports that we were using that would show, for example, only data for active employees. You know, we didn't want to old employees or people who had quit or been fired to show up on these reports. We just want to keep up to date on our existing employees. So previously what we'd do is I'd have maybe 5 of these reports with the filter of record owner, for example, and if someone new got hired or someone left the company, I'd have to go into each one of those reports individually and update the filter so that that new person would show up or the old person would be taken off the report. And in addition to being time consuming, it's also easy to make mistakes or to forget to update something. So now what I do is I'd create a formula which I then use to filter multiple reports. So in this example, this is a report that shows data only for active employees. Here's my formula up here. It basically says if the record owner is, I just picked 3 people who currently work for us, me, Lila, or Teresa, then this field will display it's an active consultant. If it's not one of those people, the field will display not an active consultant. Then, when I build my report, here's my filter. Rather than filtering, you know, potential owner and checking all the boxes for each employee, we'll just put that filter in there and check the active consultant box. Now, when someone new gets hired or when someone quits, I'll go in and update this formula. So maybe I'd take out Teresa and replace that with Nick. And then I'll do that once, save the formula, and the next time my dashboard is run, all of the reports are going to be updated automatically. So I only make 1 change instead of 5. Here's one which I wish I would have discovered earlier. It's how to update converted lead data using reports plus Creator, if any of you guys use Creator as well. Some of you guys may have noticed, so this is an example we had for a while. Employees would be putting in information with maybe different spellings or variations or just completely wrong. So this is a state field for our leads, and until I standardized it on a form so they could only choose one option, they'd maybe put the zip code in rather than the state, or put in the state abbreviation, put in different spellings or different capitalizations. So most of our records would come in with CO, which is what I want, but we'd have also a handful of records with all these different variations, and when we run a report, you know, it wasn't too easy to interpret the data. So if you convert the lead and then you want to go in and try to edit it, you might end up on this page which says, sorry, you can't access the lead, it's already been converted. So then even if you run a report on the leads, it's going to come up with this old information. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out how to fix that. So if you're using Creator, here's a trick you can use. First, you're going to want to run a report of all the leads with that value that you want to change. So this is everything with this lowercase co and all my lead IDs. Export that and copy all your lead IDs and using Notepad or whatever you want to use, organize them like this so it's a list separated by commas. Then, if you have Creator, you're going to write a function in there which will use the CRM integration and update your CRM data. So, I'll walk through this really quick for anyone who is using Creator. This basically just says, we have a formula, it's called update lead data, and we're gonna put a passive variable in there, which is a list called leads list. When we execute this, we have a map, and in this map, we're gonna put all the fields that we wanna update, as well as the new values that we wanna put in there. So for this one, we're just updating the state from lowercase co or Colorado to our state abbreviation. So we'll put that in the map. So it says update the state field with this value. Then we'll say for each item in this list, for each lead ID in our leads list, update the CRM and just update the record according to the ID. It's a lead, so update the leads table, update the lead ID record, and make all the changes that are in our map. So once you run that, well, we'll go to the next step. You'll execute your script. You will use that list of all your different lead IDs, and you'll pass that into your function, and you'll run it. It'll tell you, okay, it worked. Then next time you sync your CRM data with reports, if you run that report again, all your converted leads, they will be updated with the information that you want. And a couple more little tips and tricks. You've noticed that all my functions and stuff that I've shown, they look like this with the black background and all these colors. If you're writing a complex function, before I discovered how to update the leads table, this is what I did. So I had to write this huge, gigantic function which said if for every wrong lead value that I had, we'll put all that in there and then say, make a new one that says state fixer, we'll call that CO. If it's an AZ one, we'll fix that. If it's California, we'll fix that. So this huge formula, fortunately I don't have to use this anymore, but if you're writing a long formula, you may want to use a text editor outside of Zoho Reports. What that's going to do, you can see that it's color-coded, so if you miss a quotation mark or a comma or a parenthesis or something like that, you'll be able to see it really obviously. And there's some other advantages too, which you'll discover if you start using this. What I use and what's shown here, this is a free program called Sublime Text, or at least it's free to use the free version. And you can set the language. I set it to C++ because they don't have deluge in there, but it color codes it pretty much how I want to see it. That's it. Thanks.